Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality's leadership, led by the city manager, deputy mayor and the speaker of council, are conducting a service delivery outreach in Kariega. Officials are addressing the community on recovery efforts after recent floods damaged critical infrastructure. Newzroom Afrika's Sipha Kema joins us now from Tamborville, where the officials are expected to engage with residents. Sipha, good afternoon to you. You have been on this blitz throughout the whole morning. Are residents expecting this engagement with officials to start anytime soon?
Well, it has started. Katlego, we've heard the city manager speaking. We've heard some officials from the municipality also giving feedback, such as the acting executive director of human settlements, Thabiso Mafeya, who was actually giving an update regarding Lapland and the relocation process of Lapland. Because if you remember, it was delayed, Katlego, because of the issues of receiving certification from environmental, so that they could start removing the vegetation and start building then the temporary housing units. And we do believe that by the 4th of October, 20 TRUs will be up, and that's when they'll start relocating some of those families to Lapland. But Katlego, this is not just about Lapland or the floods, but also service delivery at large, Mr. George, in the Nelson Mandela Bay. And I do believe that's one of your focus points that you said would be when coming in July.
Yes, thanks, ma'am. Thanks for this time. Yes, it is. I mean, it's part of our focus to make sure that as the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, we really accelerate service delivery. And we do so just for one simple reason, just to keep the ratepayers happy. Let's just work for them. Let's just bring services to them, because we're using their money, by the way. It's their money. So they want to know, what does their money do? They want to see results. So it's part of us coming to them to account about what we're doing, what are we planning to do, and in the process try and build a relationship that has suffered for some time, build that trust with communities. And I have been deliberate to take the entire senior executive team I lead to be here, because we don't have the luxury to sit in our offices. We want to be here so that we understand the impact of decisions we take when we sit in offices to service delivery. When someone sits with a memo that requires toilets to be delivered in a community, these are the implications, and you can never understand those things without being at the face of service delivery, understand what the problems are. So this is part of a wider program for the entire city in the Nelson Mandela Bay.
Yes, and Mr. George, talking about accountability, I mean, it seems as though with residents that we've visited in various parts of the Nelson Mandela Bay, it seems like that is the one issue or sore issue when it comes to the Nelson Mandela Bay. No accountability of the slow service delivery. I mean, just even the flood victims themselves. Besides those in informal settlements, you have those living in Kamesh who say that since the president's visit, no one has come back to check in on them. And even clean up, just the clean up campaign or the program of cleaning up their street stopped and was abandoned immediately after, and we've seen it ourselves. So those are the issues that the residents are facing. How are you hoping to then start fixing? I mean, you're going to need to go back and not just forward to start fixing that.
Look, we have agreed that we're going to have a revitalization plan for all our areas in the metro. So the whole of Kariega, your formerly known as Uitenhage area, and the surroundings, there's a revitalization plan we are pursuing. So part of us being here as well is to launch that revitalization plan. And it's about making sure that the streets are clean, the leaks are fixed, sewer spillages are fixed, potholes are fixed, the litter is picked, waste collection on a regular basis. So there's a dedicated focus in making sure that all those service delivery ills affecting our communities are addressed. But it's not just about doing that as well. It's about also doing them and equally going back to communities to understand the level of satisfaction with the services we're delivering. And that's the only way that will help us to ensure that there is accountability. From our side as officials, we're here to support the public representatives, the councillors. We want to support them. We want to make sure that when they also give accountability to communities, we are here to give them that support, to confirm as well the work that they are doing. The most important thing with this approach is that it's not just about getting things done. It's about also establishing the level of satisfaction of communities with the service we are rendering. So it's going to be a program across the clusters of the city. And the advantage with it is that I want to be there. I have no luxury to sit in the city hall and be in meetings. I want to understand what are the problems as affecting communities, street by street, by household. What are the issues? Where do we help? And in that way, I'm also able administratively to demand accountability to my officials. And where things don't happen, there's got to be consequences for that. So it's an approach of us making sure that let's understand the impact of decisions we take in our offices and how they affect service delivery in communities. And by being here, it's just a start of making sure that happens regularly in the city.
All right, thank you so much. That's Mr. Mandla George, City Manager for the Nelson Mandela Bay Metropolitan Municipality, of course, telling us there, Katlego, the key points on focusing on service delivery. It's not just about ensuring that there are services done, but also the quality of services. I mean, there have been complaints from residents who say that sometimes a sewer line would be fixed, but then it would be burst again. Those are the issues that he's looking to actually go into, but also bringing those officials out of the offices and to the people so that they could have a better understanding what people are expecting from them, and also what are their concerns, other than from hearing it, through the news, but also hear it in real time, but also giving accountability so that they're able to give a timeline like the ones that we've heard now, a timeline of the Lapland relocation process, and also other areas and other informal settlements that are considered flood prone to actually areas where they're supposed to be moving with the temporary units. But for now, Katlego, that's it here in Kariega, Tamboville, but we will continue to listen in on the engagement and talk to some of these community members and residents on their expectations.
Well, certainly these engagements are needed and are very necessary in order for residents as well as officials to find each other